Have you been going to your local game store and just not getting the results you wanted at the tournaments? Well, JJ and I are in the same boat as you are. So we decided to take our cameras and mics with us to a Wednesday night Pioneer tournament and record ourselves before and after. Here at acvmtg, we're all about that transition from Timmy to Spike and documenting our process of improvement through local game store tournaments to RCQs and hopefully RCs and Pro Tours in the future, because we are where you are and hopefully we can get better together. So stay tuned, take a listen to this episode, and hopefully you can see some of the things that we learned. If this content is adding value to you and helping you improve your game, please take the time to like, comment, subscribe. It's a free way to help support the content that we do and let us know that you like this kind of stuff. If you notice anything of what we said about maybe things we could have done better, drop it in the comments. This was originally recorded for video, but will also be released on our Spotify. Link will be in the description below. Thanks and enjoy.
The camera, what are we doing tonight?
All right, today we are at TableTop Tavern.
Tabletop
Tavern in Chula Vista.
in Chula Vista,
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah, last time we were at TC Rock.
And what's your home address?
Yeah, I live.
No, yeah. Last time we were at TC Rockets, and it's Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I think in our history, we've made 2 for 2 week after week. Pioneer
I
night
figured out the
happened.
formula. I figured the formula is that to overdo it with my wife. Like I was like a blank check. I was planting plants in the yard. I was, like cleaning the garage out. I was like taking her on dates every night. And then she's sick of me now. So she's like, go play Magic.
I know, dude. You texted me on Sunday, which has never had. Normally, this is
like I sealed the deal.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. You might have another child on the way. Incredible. Yeah, no. So I'm excited. We're at Wednesday Night Pioneer. We did it last week. Video just went live this week. Looking at what we played, our thoughts before.
Yeah.
So we're going to do it a little bit different, I think. I think we should still talk about what we're playing before. But I think we should reiterate kind of, because again, acvmtg is about strategy, is about theory, and is about improving as a player.
Yeah.
Because we're casual. We're so casual, in fact, we're bad at Magic.
Yeah. I brought a couple decks that are not good.
Yeah, what are you playing tonight for real?
So for real, tonight I'm playing Ensoul Artifact. And it is a very straightforward strategy of ensouling any artifact you have, or using it as fodder to sacrifice and get damage through with a shrapnel blast. So
why'd you bring it?
Last time I played against it, I remembered that I had built it and it was sitting on my desk, and I'm like, that would have been a good idea. I like it because so I'm really good with straightforward attacking strategies. Like I feel very comfortable in that realm.
Yeah.
But this has some answers as well. So it has a little bit of toolbox in there, but not so much that it's, all toolbox and no creatures.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it suits my personality. It lets you play in a very like smart, strategic way. So you feel like get that satisfying.
Yeah.
It's not like playing Greasefang where you're like,
you're doing the same thing every time.
Greasefang. It's like there's options. There's different ways to win with this deck, and it has a lot of fun sides to it, like little things you didn't see coming.
Would you say this deck is more aggro or mid-range?
This one, I think, leans towards mid-range.
Okay.
Because it has answers, and it doesn't take off on turn 1. It's like you need a turn 2, 3, 4. But I think it can still get under decks that are in the format, like, say, for instance, what are you playing tonight?
Live to Light. So this is my second week playing this deck, with some changes this time. So last week, I think I identified the overperforming cards were Pillage the Bog and Lightning Helix. And my underperforming card was No More Lies. So why? So Lightning Helix provided, my greatest threat is aggro. I said that last week. I knew it going in. Game 1, I played an Orzhov Humans deck, and I lost so fast. So fast. And, you know, when I look at the rest of the night, the reason why those 2 cards come to my mind as overperforming is because they gave me the answers in the early game. And No More Lies never really presented an opportunity to, like, to take action. So, in this week's edition, I put in a Tulsimir something of the wolves, right? I will quotation the right card here. And because it offers me a life gain option. I put in Lila, the new slick shot is a card.
Slick shot.
Undefeated slick shot, because it helps me synergize with Lightning Helix and those kinds of cards. And I took out the No More Lies, and I gave myself a play set of Pillage the Bog. And I put 2 Vanishing Verses in the sideboard. So if I want to go all creature removal, I can go all creature removal.
And sometimes that Vanishing Verse just sits there like...
Yeah. So there are only 2 in the main. But if I'm playing like Insult Artifact, where you have an indestructible artifact, like I'll go to the sideboard and bring those in.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's great against Phoenix. Pretty much any aggro matchup, there's a place for it. Amalia, I can exile Amalias.
So what's your backup plan? Like, say the initial plan of your Bring to Light, getting like Omnaths and Niv Mizzets out there. What's your backup plan if that doesn't happen?
Look really dumb.
Well, you go aggro, or no, you can go mid range with it.
I can go mid range. It grinds. It grinds. You know, I have 4 fables, 3 fables, 4 fables. I have a lot of fables, which is like the best card in Pioneer. I'm running Niv Mizzet Supreme, which gives all my instants and sorceries jumpstart. I'm running the Tulsimir now. I'm running Omnath, Locus of Creation, Lila, and then in my sideboard, creature-wise, I have Kumbal that penalizes you for playing instants or sorceries. And I think that's it for the creature suite. So it's really just like either I lose really fast, or win really fast, or I can grind.
Yeah.
Right? So what I found out, I really enjoyed the deck because, like I said last week, it was kind of similar to the Amalia strategy in that it's toolboxy, which is true. I really liked that it challenged me to find the right line in a challenging environment, which I had a couple of challenging games that I think I was able to pull out from and finding the right answers.
Yeah, it's some fun games. Well, I like your idea of taking out No More Lies, because that it really, like, fetching that doesn't do anything. Having the, like, something like a Vanishing Verse or a, you know, any Pumball or anything like that would be a really good fetch. Yeah.
And I kept the Dovin Veto in the sideboard because, like, say I play a Waste Not or some other non-creature heavy deck, which they are making a resurgence. If I play a non-creature heavy deck, I can take out some of that targeted removal and put in a full suite of magic, which is good. So last week, you were just looking to break the seal and get back into paper play.
I haven't. I was very optimistic.
You said you were going to rank number 3.
I was at it down. Number 3.
I was in the top 8.
I was not. I was like way down. I was like 9. Was I like 9?
Yeah, I think you were like 9 or 11. You just missed the top 8.
Yeah, right in the middle of
it was good. What is something you're looking to take away tonight?
So I'm really hoping to play this deck, meaning take advantage of any moments. So the death from this deck would be hesitating to get damage in, holding back to be defensive, letting the opponent build a board state they just can't get around. This is all about, like, hurling fire and brimstone at someone in a really cool way, but just not, I think they have a like a counter spell or something, like not worrying, play into it, and if they counter it, this deck has ways of getting more cards in your hand. It has smart ways of getting to a win condition.
Yeah.
And but yeah, hoping to play it in a very like thoughtful, forward-thinking way.
So if I could give you a tagline to keep in the back of your head, every game tonight, make them have it. Make them have it.
Yeah.
And it's like force them to answer you, because I think you have the early game on lock. If there's a deck that can win early, especially between this matchup would be you, right? Other aggro matchups, I think it'll be hard, but force them to use their creatures inefficiently. I think for me, I failed to meet my one objective last time, which was not draw. I drew a game. So again, now that
Good draw though.
it was a good draw. I mean, it was a grind,
Yeah.
but I think I would have won if I was able to play faster. And of course, there's an opponent element to it. Like they need to play fast too. But I think now I have more knowledge of exactly what's in the deck. I took the time to take it apart, put it back together.
Yeah, just to make the sleeves nicer.
To make the sleeves nicer.
More foil.
Yeah. No, and so I think I have a more intimate knowledge of what's in there this week than I did last week. So I think that'll help my game speed. Again, my goal is just to play every step, every turn intentionally, but also not draw a game tonight. If I do that, it's a success.
I think you're gonna do much better. Like there's just the familiarization,
Yeah.
knowing what you're gonna go get. I think you have a good mind for that.
So would you say there is a portion or concept of Magic theory or strategy that you want to focus on tonight?
Tonight, let's see. Yeah, I would say the mulligan.
The mulligan. So explain your theory about mulligan,
Yeah.
and then as you're going through games, what are your bounds for what to keep versus what to mulligan, and why?
Yeah, so every previous game does not matter with the game that I'm playing right now. Number one, all those like the statistics do not play from those previous games. So if I'm holding something that I kept and got lucky on in a previous game, does not count here. All right, I'm gonna make smart mulligans, meaning I'm gonna have at least a turn 1 or turn 2 action to take. If I'm on the play, I'm probably gonna want at least a turn 2. If I'm on the draw, then I got to have a turn 1, or I have to start my game early. So I have that turn 1, and then getting to my win condition, I got to have at least some damage in my hand to throw in your face, either to remove something from the board or throw in your face.
Yeah.
I can't just let you build up a board state against me. I got to have some action in that 1, 2, 3, or I'm gonna mulligan. How far will I mulligan? We will only. I'm not gonna lock myself into like I did that once where I was like, if I don't have Cigar de Zeta in my hand, I'm mulliganing. I was like mulligan down to 3.
Yeah, no.
Like, I'm losing so bad.
So, I mean, but I think that's a really good metric. If you're on the play, you want to turn to thing to help develop your game plan. If you're on the draw, you want to do it on turn 1. Again, it's you leaning into making them have it. So it all kind of works together.
What about you?
So for me, I kind of have a more abstract theory. So this is Patrick Chapin. One of the things he developed when he's analyzing Magic is what he calls the 4 perspectives, which are top down, bottom up, forward backwards, and backwards forward. So tonight, I want to focus on 2 of those: forward backwards, and backwards forward. So what that means is, in a forward backwards perspective, I'm going from turn 1 or turn 0, my opening hand, to winning the game. What is everything that has to happen in order for me to win a game in a matchup? So if I know I'm playing, say it's game 2, I know I'm playing control. I know forward backwards that I need to start with enough life gain or removal or a combination of both in order to get to turn 4, turn 5, bring delight to a Niv-Mizzet, or bring delight to a Sunfall or other board wipe in order to give myself the inevitability that I know that I have. And then backwards forwards is starting from me winning the game, what is the sequence of plays that I made for me to get there. So, okay, I think I won this matchup by having two 6/6 flyers that your deck can't do shit about, right? How do I get those out there? Okay, I know I need to at least bring to light one, and maybe I can put one in the bin in Culligan's command. So that means I'm looking for a bring to light and a Culligan's command. All right, I don't have those in my hand. Okay, maybe I need to look for an Up the Beanstalk or another draw engine and for me to get there. And so it's essentially two ways looking at the same line to double the amount of information that I take from that line in order to play it smart. So it's a little more abstract than like inevitability and beatdown
And Mulligan.
and mulligan, which is all Magic fundamentals. But I think this is something that I'm going to want to talk about in some of our upcoming content are the four perspectives, because essentially it's a way to take one piece of information and quadruple the amount of data that you get from it. And so I want to see the application of that in gameplay.
Such a game nerd.
Huh?
What have we done? What have we done to you?
You did this to me.
All I said was, "Hey, do you wanna?" And you were like, "I want to. Give it to me." Ah, yeah.
First bump's always free. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else you want to mention going into that?
No. I think the next part, one I can maybe tease like one of the videos coming out.
Yeah.
Timmy, what do we?
Oh yeah. Talk about what you're working on.
Yeah, so we're working on a kind of a guide. If you're a brand new player to like RCQs and competitive, just gonna walk through some of the mistakes I made in my first RCQ and what I would have done differently, because there were some like definitely awkward moments in it, and shame. I left in shame. Although I top 8'd, it was like I still left in shame because things I didn't know ahead of time, and I kind of felt like I could have done a lot better if I had.
And it's really about around the mission statement of what acvmtg is. Like we are where they are.
Yeah, we're not.
Right? We're not
awesome.
We're nothing. We're not great. We're not pro players telling you the things that you should do to get right. Like, and we may never be pro players, but we want to keep improving, right? And so we're learning and we're playing, and I think what we're doing is we're sharing. So like when we're calling it the Timmy to Spike series, we are Timmys because we love doing the thing. That part of us is never gonna go away.
Yeah.
We love doing the thing.
You still do it in like competitive decks. You'll put like one Timmy card in there.
It might. Invasion of Telvada. It's a good card, right? We're like, oh, we could do it. But to Spike in that, it's like, how do we marry that journey, that path, improving to a point where we're winning? And I think like we can very, very distinctly along our narrative pinpoint to things that we're doing to improve. Because where we are today is light years ahead of where we were a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when we started playing this format. So yeah, so stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
We're gonna knock out a playtest game or two to kind of shake off some rust in the nerves, and let's play. Cool.
But what JJ was talking about is a series that we're calling Timmy to Spike that he's leading, talking about some of the initial mistakes that he made going to some of the tournaments that we are all now going to. So hopefully you can get some lessons from that future content. Again, please like, comment, subscribe. It's a totally free, no cost to you way to support the content. And next, let's head on to the end of the event and see our reflections and see how we did.
So JJ, we're here.
Yeah.
At the end of Pioneer Night. Instead of recording like you and me at our own respective houses a little awkwardly, we're here.
It wasn't awkward. It was a delivered product.
The audience would say otherwise.
They fell in love with me.
Your face is getting more likes than my face.
Nice. Come on.
But we're here while the emotions are raw.
Yeah.
And we're recording now the reactions from Wednesday Night Pioneer. So going into the night, you said you wanted to focus on, I think the tagline was, make them have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about your rounds and whether or not you made them have it.
Yeah. So first round mono was against Mono Black Discard. They had it.
They had
Well,
it.
they were actually, so I went 2-1, or yeah, 1-2.
Yeah.
I won one, then lost two. And they were very, very close games. It was down to like single digits.
Yeah.
Both of us were fighting for that edge. And I think the Mono Black Discard, they got their value engine, when they got their value engine out with the waste knots, that actually hindered me against my inties, which and my
Draw discard.
and my smuggler's copters, which are
Draw discard.
draw discard. So I was like, it slowed me down in an effort to avoid giving them more value. Sometimes I wouldn't draw the card, or I wouldn't discard the card.
Yeah.
When we were at that like down to single digits,
Yeah.
it was hard. It was like I had to make some decisions. But their value engine just outvalued me. And I think it was some very fair games we played. We actually have that one was streamed, I think.
Yeah, your round one was streamed.
Yeah, so they Tabletop Tavern streams all like most of their games,
Yeah.
even non-Magic games, whatever those are. But yeah, so they streamed. We streamed that one. That was I think it was a very fair game.
Yeah.
And but it was tooth and nail. Like we fought down to the last the last creature. They were the fatal pushes were vicious against me.
Because you would build up one creature.
Yeah.
And then just push.
Yeah.
So would you have changed the way that you played round one at all?
I think I would. No, I don't think I would have changed anything. I think I would have included a little more, like maybe something in the sideboard to help me with. I don't know what it would be. Maybe some counter spell, maybe like
Metallic Rebuke.
yes, maybe metallic. Maybe you're right, metallic. It has improvise. You have to tap those artifacts. Like, what if it's an insult? I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, it was good. I think I could have been a more effective sideboarding. How about you?
So round one was against Rakdos Vampires. And this round was probably my improving moment from last week because it was the exact same player on the exact same deck that I drew last week against. And I crushed him.
now, the difference in play.
Yeah.
What would you say made all the difference?
So one was sequencing. Round one, I think I was incredibly present. Like, so going into the night, I said I was going to focus on forward, backwards, forwards perspectives on my gameplay. So knowing what opponent was playing, I think I had a good threat assessment, right? Blood type the Harvester, people think is, just a 2-mana creature, but it's a 2-mana 3/2. All right, that when they get their Vein Ripper out there, sacks, drains life, beats you down until that moment. With so many 2 toughness creatures in the metagame, like it's a very real threat, right? That in my deck teching. So I think round one, Lila kind of showed the best, period. And
you were wondering if that was going to be a good
I was wondering if it was going to be a good card. But I played it on turn 3, and then it went almost tit for tat. Like they had a Blood Tithe Harvester, and I helixed it. Lila gets a prowess trigger, but it was summoning sick. But I plotted the helix. Then the turn after they Sorin, I held my breath into a Preacher of the Schism, which is still a really good card.
Yeah.
Like kills literally any of my attacks on the ground. 4 toughness, so it's hard for me to trade for. but I was holding a Vanishing Verse.
Nice.
And so the line went Vanishing Verse the Preacher, right? Exile the monocolor permanent, right? Prowess trigger, Vanishing Verse gets plotted. Then I cast Lightning Helix for free. I don't know how that's legal. I cast it for free, gain 3 more life, target the Sorin, get the Sorin off the board, another Prowess trigger, and then I'm swinging for 5, and I just ran away with it.
Nice.
Because, I think the turn after that, I cast the Bajuka Bog, or Pillage the Bog, and that got plotted automatically, which I was like, incidentally, like, oh, wow, this is good.
Yeah.
And, I always had a Vanishing Verse just looming. They played another threat. It's like, okay, cute.
They
Prowess
couldn't outplay you.
They couldn't outvalue. It kept me alive to the late game, and then I just niz it into another thing. It was beautiful. So that was game 1. Game 2, I took out. I want to say. I wrote it down. I forgot what I took out. Moral of the story is game 2. Again, forward to backwards, I was thinking about getting. I knew I needed to interrupt the Sorin Vein Ripper combo, or I had to have so much value on the field that it was irrelevant.
Yeah.
And so I kept a great opening hand. Turn 2 carry added that, always going back from the end game state to turn 1, it's playing the top Triumph with green to play, but that's also a mountain, so I can play an untapped Dragon Skull Summit. So I can play the carry added on curve, so that then I could go into, I want to say it was a Clothis or whatever. They really leaned into the board. I got into an on curve Sunfall, or Bring the Light into Sunfall, and it was magnifique. Peak Niv Mizzet. How about round 2? What did you have?
So I played against a mono black deck that was a mid range deck. Unfortunately, opponents, I would say, it wasn't really a very challenging game because the opponents, game 1, they stayed on 2 lands the whole time, and my deck stalled. Like I ran into they had removed a couple. They had some removal in their hands, but my deck kind of stalled, and it was like turn 9, and they still had drawn a 3rd land.
Yeah.
So I had plenty of time to recover, and by the time they had a 3rd land, it was all over.
Yeah.
Second game,
and you were going fast. That was the thing. You made them have it. Like you punished them.
I kept playing.
Yeah.
Let them destroy it. Let them. If they didn't have it, it was I just kept it on the battlefield, and then I just outvalued them. But it wasn't really value. It was they starved. I watched them starve in front of me. Second game, unfortunately, the opposite. They drew nothing but lands, and it was just
variance is a part of Magic.
Yeah, variance, and so it was kind of a sad.
Well, do you think
they did get a Shieldred out there? Not Shieldred Apocalypse. Actually, they did. They played 2 Shieldreds.
It's Shieldred from wasn't Aftermath. It was March of the Machine.
Yeah,
one that makes you sack a creature.
Yeah, and I didn't have any creatures at that moment,
so it was a valueless ETB.
Yeah. So, but when I swang, and when I finally got a creature out there and swang in, they blocked with their Shieldred Apocalypse, and I torched the tower and exiled it because they had some grave recursion coming in, and it's so sweet. And they had already turned their other Shieldred into the Saga.
Flipped it? Yeah,
they flipped it into a Saga, which board wipes or something. But then my winning move at the very end, we had the second game. They actually, even though they're getting flooded, they played a lot of spells.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of board wipes, and they had killed all my creatures.
Yeah.
And so I had no creatures left, but I was holding a Sazankin, and they had 1 creature up, and they had 6 life left.
Mm-hmm.
So I discarded my Sazankin, got the 2 tokens, swung in, they blocked 1, and then I
You got it
sacked,
for 1.
and then I shrapnel blast for the last 5.
Oh wow.
It was so satisfying, but it was like doing the
Wow.
math.
Yeah. For me, round 2 was against the matchup that I feared the most. It was a mono red Wizards. Shout out to Tandy. And he pummeled me game 1. To a point where I could answer 1, maybe 2 of the creatures, but not in a meaningful manner.
Yeah.
Game 2, I think I played the ideal arc
Yeah.
that uh, I needed to do against aggro. So game 1, I was on the draw, lost. Game 2, I was on the play. I sideboarded in Cumballs and the other 2 Vanishing Verses.
Nice.
And I took out all of the Beanstalks because I'm like, this is cute, but I need a value removal and interaction. Nobody got time for that. And I forced them to answer my creature threats, which was interesting because then they were wasting
All the burn.
they were wasting the burn, not on my life total. So I play a Cumball. They try to answer it. And then, I play a Cumball and then I had a Lila or something. They burn the Lila, I gain life. Next turn, they play a Rampaging Ferocidon, right? But I had my 5 mana, and I was holding up a Sunfall. So then next turn, I Sunfalled for a 5/5 token.
Nice.
Then I bring to light a Niv Mizzet. And it was just that's when literally inevitability took over. So game 3, I was on the draw again. And this was probably the misplay of the night. I was high as a kite. I'm like, I just beat aggro, right?
I'm invincible.
I'm invincible. I can do no wrong. I look at an opening hand. I got 3 lands. 2 of them are Triomes. 1 of them's a fast land. I got a board wipe that I sided in. I have a Sylvan Caryatid. I have the gas.
Yeah.
Right.
Ready to go.
I'm ready to go. I just see the 3 lands and I'm like, keep. Wrong. As
all triomes are created equal.
Not all triomes are created equal. And this goes back to a lesson that I learned game 1 of last week, and also something that I talked about as a lesson from my RCQ. With the RCQ, me not performing the way that I wanted to, I made that 5 lessons video. And one of the lessons, lesson number 1, is play every step, every turn at a time. So all that's saying is be present, right? And I was not present when I kept my opening hand and I look at those Trions, no green mana.
Not a one.
And I draw, no green land.
You couldn't see the forest.
I could not see the forest.
Triomes.
I draw, no green. I draw again, no green. I draw again, no green. And then I blink and I'm dead. Right, and I'm answering their threats one at a time, but that deck cascades quickly enough. I mean, it went longer than game 1, but I ultimately lost. And I think, moving forwards from, or back to front, where, I lost, the reason I lost is because I didn't pay attention to the lands I had in my hand. That caused me to not be able to cast a removal or my board wipes or removal faster in a way that would have kept me in the game. Because I saw very well, as soon as I started doing my thing and I was gaining life and restocking my hand and putting big beaters in the air that were just oh, I have a 2/2 with prowess. Sick, bro. I have a 6/6 dragon, right? So I lost that one. How about round 3?
So I was playing a Narcomoeba, Prized Amalgam, Return from the Graveyard type deck.
Did they have Insidious shirts?
I didn't see it, but I made the assumption that they did. I assumed, of course, Insidious shirts would be in it. It didn't come out to play.
Because you killed him before it could come out?
Game 1, I shuffled my companion into my deck.
You don't have your companion in a different sleeve? You don't have your companion in a different state?
No, why would I do that?
Dude.
But I'm like, oh, I wonder where my companion's at. And I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna play it. And which is a stupid thing to do. I should have stopped, found my companion, reshuffled. But I was like, it was getting late. But it didn't matter. I came the game one. It was a perfect in-soul artifact rollout. It was Voldaran Pariah into an Inti, into an in-soul artifact, into a Shrapnel Blast. It was just like Ganka Danka Dunka, but they hadn't even got anywhere close. Second game, I sideboarded in Ashiox, and they tried to take everything out of my hand. But what was left was a single land and an Ashiok. I had 2 lands down, and I was like, oh no, I just had Ashiok left, and I drew a land, played it, and they conceded because it was like, wow. Because they invested heavily in the graveyard. Yeah. The otherworldly gaze, like
Surveilled
2 or 3 times, like, and just put it all in the graveyard. They were like, next turn it's on, like, because they had several prized amalgams in there. It was a beautiful setup, but I think they just needed one more turn to make it go off, and I didn't give them that one last turn.
That was beautiful. You know, actually, I didn't talk about this, but in round 1, looking at it, I had a crucial play where they had discard, and this is interesting because this is me playing off of incidental information in the game that I've never noticed myself do before. They discarded a Vein Ripper to Favor, and I'm like, beep bop boop, you have another Vein Ripper. And and I think this was turn 3. They tapped out. They drew 2. All right. Or they drew 1 card. So I'm like, if you're discarding a Vein Ripper and you're only drawing 1, that tells me you have a Vein Ripper and you're looking for a Sorin.
Yeah.
And so in my hand, and I've never done this before, but casting the 2-mana side of Valky, God of Life, I snatched the fucking Vein. It became mine, all mine. I looked at his hand. It was a blot out. It was a Sorin that he drew off the Fable and a Vein Ripper. If he untapped, he would have won. But playing that, I was like,
it was hard to do that too. But once it's in your hand, you figure it out.
You know what was tempting me? Fucking Beanstalk. It was either play Valky or draw a card.
That's hard.
And I was like, I remember I looked at my hand and I did the
just do it. What's the worst that'll happen?
And so yeah.
So what was the star of the show for you? Mine was Shrapnel Blast, 100%. Just, it was funny. Once I was playing in one game, and my opponent just knew I was just like instinctively, you have a Shrapnel Blast, and yeah, that was it, because it was like so much damage was coming through.
Yeah. For me, the star was definitely Lila, just because, you know, going into the night, this is Lila Undefeated Slick Shot, 3 mana, so 1 in Izzet. It's a 3/3 with prowess, and whenever I cast a multicolored instant or sorcery, of which I have a lot, after it resolves, it becomes plotted.
So good.
Absolutely broken mechanic. I don't know how the card is legal, especially in Niv Mizzet. It was a freaking superstar. I might even play more. Like, it was so good. That was it for me. Now, my round 3, I played against the Waste Not opponent.
Yeah.
That you played round 1, and it was so game 1. They won because Shieldred.
Yeah.
Game 2, it was really tit for tat. We were going back and forth, trading resources. I was hellbent just because of how much I was casting. So their Waste Nots didn't even matter. But they got a Shieldred down, hit me for a few. I think they got me to 10. I removed the shieldred. Like it was a cool line where I just like they animated a Hive of the Eye Tyrant, and they had shieldred, and this was on my turn. I swung in with a goblin token so they would animate their thing and block it. Fell right into my trap. And then I extinction event for even.
Nice.
And then they top decked a Shieldred and won. Yeah. So I'm a bit salty about that.
You can't complain about the top deck because you had miracle top decks last week.
Yeah, it was about my turn to
you
lose to a top
karma.
deck. Yeah, full circle of magic. So overall good. So what is your big, so zooming back out, the 30,000-foot view of Magic, competitive Magic theory and strategy.
Yeah.
What is your biggest takeaway?
Biggest takeaway is no, honestly, it's what you told me at the beginning. Make them have it. Like that is that thought was like pushed me to play into everything until I drained as many resources they had. But make them have it. Like don't let them. And countering. We played an extra game at the end. Me and my opponent. We had a lot of time left.
Yeah.
And so he pulled out his control deck, and we had a beautiful moment of where he tried to play a. So I was playing a Hammer Time, and I sideboarded in a bunch of control, and they played to fairy. They had 2 untapped lands, and I played
No More Lies.
No More Lies, and they countered it with a Dovin's Veto, and then I played Censor to counter their Teferi. It was like but that made me think like there are Dovin's Veto, even though it's uncounterable, doesn't necessarily mean anything when it's not targeting the thing, Yeah.
Yeah, Dovin's Veto to counter a counter isn't necessarily good.
Not a good move.
Yeah.
I mean,
would you say that was like your Magic strategy moment of the night?
Yeah, but it was, well, I would say my best strategy moment was the Sazankin 2 token, 1 gets blocked, 1 damage goes through, and then Shrapnel Blast. Just did the math.
Yeah.
And it worked out, and I took my opportunity to do that.
Nice. Yeah, I think for me, my biggest strategy theory takeaway, I mean, it really goes back to the fundamentals of, being present while I'm playing.
That's tough, though. Because you're like, you get a lot of...
Yeah. I mean, if we look back at our videos, like I talk about a lot of the same thing. And it's cool to talk about it now that it's fresh because it's easy to talk about and reflect on. It is so hard in game.
Yeah.
It is so hard in game.
Yeah.
Like I said, like
hindsight, but also like the effect that you hoped. You hope for an effect in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't quite. Like a good moment was when I invested heavily into a gleaming, whatever the hell that.
Gear Drake.
Yeah, gleaming Gear Drake. So I invested heavily against the mono black player, and I got through one time, and then swing through again with multiple creatures, but invested again in that Drake, and they fatal pushed it, and I think they were just holding it the whole time, like biting it. They knew they had the inevitability that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And they like just waited for me to invest a little more, and then like cool, they took it away from me.
Yeah. And I think another interesting moment of tonight, when I was playing against the mono black player that you played against, was a rules interaction. So this was the first time that me studying the freaking Judge Academy stuff to study the steps and phases in a turn paid off, because I understood the phases in a turn and how priority is passed in each phase. So, you have an untap step, and that's where a bunch of state-based actions happen. You have an upkeep step, where priority is passed between active and passive player, and then you have a draw step into a main phase, right? Opponent thought that they could take a game action during my draw step. And I was like, no, sir, not today. Not with this guy. Navigator has read the rules. And I mean, I still let him backtrack to like, our upkeep because, casual magic.
Yeah.
But it's a cool thing because, he or opponent had done that in a competitive environment. And I guess their opponents had never either questioned it or called over a judge for a ruling. And that goes back to something else when we talk about, just playing competitive magic from a meta view of 30,000 feet is like either having a more intimate understanding of what happens in a certain phase of a turn helps, or B, if you don't, and that's fine, you don't have to, call a judge, right? Don't be afraid to, it's cool. Like, I mean, at least the culture in magic is like, it is always okay to call a judge. And it's better to do so, even if you just kind of don't understand something.
Yeah.
Don't rely on your opponent to tell you, it's like, oh, this is how it works.
Yeah, you can show them a card and say, hey, I had an opponent take the judge somewhere and say, hey, is this the interaction? Then came back, made sure that it was going to interact the way that they thought.
Yeah. You have people for that. You should just enjoy playing the game, but at the same time, knowing the rules and things like that can play to your benefit. I mean, I still lost, but it's cool. I was like, magic. Cool. You got it.
Top 8.
Yeah, we made the top 8 out of 11. But who ranked higher? What did you rank?
I ranked 7.
Yeah,
you ranked 8.
I was 8. So
but I think we're about the same.
We have it on video. Yes, JJ ranked higher than me.
I'm so good at this game.
He's so good at magic, and it's time for me to retire. So signing off. You got anything else?
No. Thanks for watching, and looking forward to the next game.
Yeah, always choose violence.
Always choose violence.